We're now going to move to file item 7, Senator Leyva. I don't see Senator Hill here, so we will.
Well, I'm already in the chair, so is that good?
You're in the chair. You get to go. All right, we've got file item 7, SB 1106 by Senator Leyva. And while we're at it, we had one bill that we heard without a motion because we didn't have a quorum. I believe it was file item 2, SB 950 by Senator Nielsen, dealing with excluded employees in arbitration. Can we get a motion for that? Moved by Senator Hertzberg. Please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to Senate Appropriations with amends to be taken in that committee. Jackson?
Aye.
Jackson, aye. Morlock? Morlock, aye. Anderson? Hertzberg? Aye. Hertzberg, aye. Leno? Aye. Leno, aye. Monning? Wachowski?
That bill has 4 votes. We will hold the roll open for the absent members. Thank you for your patience, Senator Leyva. Item 7, please.
All right, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, members. I am very excited to be here and present you this bill. When I became the chair of the Select Committee on Mobile Homes, I had no idea the litany of issues that would be involved, but I have really come to love all of my mobile home parks and their residents, and really hopefully look forward to doing some good work in untangling the web of trying to get anything done if you are someone who lives in a mobile home. Fun fact, Senator Jackson, you have 143 mobile home parks in your district. Senator Morlock, you have 68. Senator Leno, I'm sorry, you only have 4. And
there's the problem.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Senator Hertzberg, you only have 28. And Senator Monning is our big winner with 272. And Senator Wachowski has 52. So that's your fun fact of the day. So the State Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, Mobile Home Park Code Enforcement, this program is woefully underfunded. Less than 5% of all mobile home parks are inspected annually. As a result, chronic violations by park owners and residents continue uncorrected for years. Currently, HCD inspectors issue pieces of paper for violations. There's no real incentive for violations to be corrected because the follow-up penalty is just another piece of paper. Without a modern funding program, the Mobile Home Parks Inspection Program will become even less effective than it is now. The solution, we think, is SB 1106, which would amend the Health and Safety Code, giving HCD greater enforcement power. Inspectors would be able to, for the first time, issue citations with penalty fees between $100 and $500. SB 1106 would allow HCD to retain the penalty fees, supporting this self-funding program. One of the problems that we faced recently in 2 mobile home parks in the district was an outbreak of typhus, and many of you probably thought like I did that was unbelievable in 2015 that there could be an outbreak of typhus. The problem was with feral cats, and the bigger issue was there was no enforcement mechanism, so everybody just pointed at everybody else, and it took far longer than it should have taken in order to get these cats removed and get the outbreak taken care of. So with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Any witnesses, any feral cats in support? Any people in support? Any opposition here? The opposition would step up. And 2 witnesses, 2 minutes each, please. Good afternoon.
Madam Chair, Catherine Borg with the Western Manufactured Housing Communities Association. We're the big trade association, represents mobile home parks. And we've been working with the author, trying to come up with a good solution. And everything that she said is completely correct. One of the concerns that we have with regarding this bill, and we would like to get addressed more completely later, is if the violation is on the resident, if the monetary violation is on the resident, we don't want to assume that monetary penalty in the future. Say when we have to evict that person to remedy the situation, we don't want to also have to pay their $500 fine that they did not pay for themselves. We understand that, we will pay our own fines, but we don't want to accumulate resident fines as well. So I think that, we're working greatly with the senator's office, and I think that we'll be able to fix those issues.
If I'm not mistaken, most of those are personal, they're fines that are accrue to the individual and not to the park. So I think 99% of that issue is resolved by the fact that they're personally liable for it. It's not the park that's liable.
We would just respectfully like to have something exactly like you said written down somewhere in some analysis or something, because as you can believe, you might be shocked that when laws get, they get signed and implemented, it's much different when they get implemented than when the intent of the legislature, had them in front of them. So that's,
I'm sure Senator Leyva will work with you on that. Thank you. Next witness.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Brian Augusta on behalf of the California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation. Our clients are residents of manufactured housing communities, and we have likewise been working with Senator Leyva and her staff on some of our concerns on the bill, which center around two key problems that are presented by our efforts to try to get better enforcement. One of them is we impose these civil penalties for many of our clients who are extremely low-income folks for whom their manufactured home is their one and only asset, which is now being tagged by the state as in need of repairs. They don't have the resources readily available to make the repairs. They certainly don't have the resources to pay the fine. So one thing we were trying to work with the senator on is some hardship exemption that ensures that the penalties don't continue to accrue to the residents. There's already an appeal provision, but we want it to be clear that the fines don't accrue. And then the second, more difficult issue that I think we're all grappling with on both sides of the industry is where do we get the resources to make these repairs, and how do we ensure that homeowners have those resources available? There is money at the state that we're looking at that possibly could help tap that, but in the absence of that, what we really need is renewed resources to help folks either repair or replace their homes so that they can stay in place. So right now we have concerns with the bill, but we're continuing to work with the senator to make sure we can resolve those.
Thank you very much. Very briefly, sir.
Madam Chair and members, Trent Smith representing the California Mobile Home Park Owners Alliance, and we share the same concerns as WMA and have been involved in the conversations and look forward to continuing those.
Thank you very much. Are there other witnesses in support of this measure? I'm sorry, any other witnesses in opposition?
They were such nice opposition, you forgot. That's good.
Well, that's right. So bring it to the committee. I'd just like to say, having had some experience working with the mobile home owners and the park owners and the challenges associated with the fact that we have so little available housing, and for many people this is the only thing between them and the streets. And we have a responsibility, I think, in the state to make sure people have housing. I appreciate the effort you're making. There are a couple suggested options. I'll throw one out to you for consideration, and that is that the funding, when we have these fines and assessments, if we could put it in a fund that would then be used to help make the repairs on people who are unable to pay for those repairs. In other words, instead of that money going back to the agency or to the state, it goes into a fund that can then use those resources to make the repairs on homes where otherwise the owners don't have the resources.
I was looking at my notes, and I think that may be accurate, but I think that's a perfect idea. If it's not there, we'll work on it.
It's an option, and I think we're all kind of on the same page, it seems, in the discussion. And I know that you are an excellent author, and we'll find that nice sweet spot. So any other questions? Senator Morlock, the man who's been here long enough? Or not long enough? I'm not quite sure what it is. Too long?
No, Madam Chair, I never pick on you.
Well, I have the gavel, sir.
One of the big concerns that I had when I was a county supervisor is converting these mobile home parks to something else. A lot of owners were really dying to sell, and then it would be developed into something different, housing project, whatever. And so most of the constituent calls I got were from actual occupants of these motorhomes. So I know we're not here to have a crystal ball, but is there any fear that some of these mobile homeowners will say, that's enough, this is enough, and I'll just list it, and then all these
No.
people, okay.
No, thank you for that question. And the only reason I say no unequivocally is because I have been to so many mobile home parks and we've had so many town halls over the last year. This is where people live. This is where they want to live. Part of the problem is some of the homes, the mobile home parks that we first started touring were just in deplorable conditions. Part of that is the owner. Part of that was what the residents were allowed to get away with, if you will. And once we started asking some questions, cities got involved. The mobile home parks were cleaned up significantly, which was really exciting. And my hope is by giving HCD enforcement authority and citation authority is that right now, if I violate something, it doesn't matter because nothing's going to happen. Hopefully a little more thought will go into someone's mind when they think about doing something. I don't know the last time you were in a mobile home park, but some of the stuff that's going on is just really, it's really terrible. And the conditions are really bad. We have young children growing up there, and I hope that this citation authority will get park owners to do what they're supposed to do, and then also make sure residents understand that they can or cannot do something. But I do not think they'll move. Interesting that you bring that up. In the city of Pomona, they did, before they lost their redevelopment money, they actually built a new complex of apartment homes. None of the mobile home residents wanted to move into those. They loved living in their mobile home park. And a big group of them moved to because they leveled this mobile home park, moved to another mobile home park together, which I thought was really interesting that they didn't want to live in these brand new apartments. They liked living in their mobile home. They like having a little bit of freedom, and they liked living around each other. So people who live in mobile home parks really like it there, for the most part. Yeah.
Thank you, and I assume that is your close?
That is my close. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
All right. I'll debate having concluded. Madam Secretary, is there a motion? So moved. Moved by Senator Hertzberg. Please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to Senate Appropriations. Jackson?
Aye.
Jackson, aye. Morlock? Morlock, aye. Anderson? Hertzberg? Hertzberg, aye. Leno? Monning? Wachowski?
Aye.
Wachowski, aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members.
That's 4 votes. We will leave the roll open. Thank you very much, Senator Leyva. And next is Senator Hill, file item 5, SB 1017. Good afternoon, Senator Hill.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members. First, let me thank the staff for a very clear analysis. And when it comes to PUC processes, clarity is a rare and refreshing virtue. So thank you very much for that. We have been speaking for a number of years about the PUC's litany of failures. Nowhere has this been more glaring and public than in the PUC's treatment of Public Records Act requests. But the PUC has made efforts to turn itself around. Unfortunately, the problem is not entirely under their control. An archaic provision, a holdover from the original 1912 Public Utilities Act, requires the PUC to vote to release a document if the utility stamps it as confidential. Such a policy continues to have merit for some documents that require significant discretion before release, such as those that are market sensitive or contain information about critical infrastructure. But the vast majority of documents require no more than straightforward redactions before they are suitable for public disclosure. Unfortunately, many utilities have taken advantage of this blanket protection to stamp pretty much everything as confidential. Some examples identified by the PUC's Safety Division include: this is marked confidential, information filed publicly with other agencies, customer service manuals that are distributed to customers, newspaper advertisements, hearing exhibits that are contained in public testimony. Much of the overstamping problem comes from a level of laziness at the utility. It's easier to just stamp everything as confidential than it is to look and read the documents. However, much of the problem has been a flat-out dishonesty on the part of some utilities and disdain for the PUC's responsibility to the public. In the case of a triple electrocution in San Bernardino, the utility responsible was able to keep the PUC's own accident investigation under wraps for 15 months, despite a request by the lawyer of the family. In 2005, LA's KNBC station requested gas leak and accident information that had been provided by a different utility. The utility was able to hold up the request for half a year, concerned that, quote, KNBC will mischaracterize such information in order to boost its television ratings by suggesting that SoCal Gas natural gas service is somehow unsafe. And as late as March of this year, the state's natural gas storage companies wrote to the PUC saying that methane leak reports should be confidential because, quote, a report showing a leak of any size may attract a curious public. So how do we prevent utility abuse of this confidentiality provision and yet still protect truly sensitive information? We clarify that the PUC has discretion to develop regulations that outline procedures for release or withholding appropriate to the type of information the utility provides. That's what SB 1017 does. The governor recognized this problem in his principles of PUC reform, and he stated that the code should, quote, be revised to better enable the PUC to respond in a full, complete, and timely manner to Public Records Act requests. This bill has opposition from the telecommunications industry, who does not trust the PUC to develop good regulations. And we're talking about the PUC, so I'm the last person to say mistrust is invalid. But in many ways, their concern is theoretical.
Senator.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
In the more than 1,000 PRA requests, the PUC has fielded in the last 5 years, none, as far as anyone can tell, have been for confidential communications information. What I think you'll hear from the industry is that they're afraid that the PUC will let them get each other's information. I committed in Senate Energy to work with the telecommunications utilities to address their concerns, and we are in the process of doing so. Madam Chair, thank you for allowing me that introduction.
Thank you, Senator Hill. Is there anyone here in support of the measure? Any support? Opposition? Is there any opposition to the bill? All right, if you come forward. Don't be shy. The ejector button is only in the seats next to Senator Hill. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Pam Loomis, and I'm here on behalf of Consolidated Communications. And I think Senator Hill summarized our concerns well. The Consolidated Communications is very concerned about compromising the integrity and precedent of law that has been built up around Code Section 583 in the Public Utilities Code. And adding an ambiguous word like "or rule" to the code, we feel would undermine the protections that have served us very well in the past for our market-sensitive, competitively sensitive, and proprietary information. Thank you.
Madam Chair and Senators, Matt Moretti with AT&T. I agree with what Ms. Loomis said, but in addition to that, I want you to know that our concerns aren't only with our information, but that of public safety and that of Homeland Security when it comes to telecommunications, and for those reasons, we oppose the bill.
Thank you very much. Next witness.
Madam Chair and members, Rod Brewer for Southern California Edison. We share the same concerns as our fellow regulator utilities. In regards to confidentiality and confidential documents. We've been working on this issue over the last few years. We do believe that solutions are out there. We just want to be a part of the dialogue.
Thank you very much. Any other witnesses in opposition? See none. I just have a comment, and then I'll pass the mic over to Senator Hertzberg. My understanding is that there has been a concern that the PUC has just marked all these documents, the utilities, excuse me, I knew that didn't sound right, that the utilities, when they submit their documents, they're stamping confidentiality on all those documents. So there's really no way to discern whether or not there is indeed a legitimate proprietary concern or indeed a legitimate public safety concern as articulated. Is that something that you are attempting to address in your bill?
Madam Chair, that is exactly what we're attempting to address, because currently they will mark everything as confidential, and I gave examples of some ridiculous things, public documents that are marked confidential. And why it's so critical is right now, if a staff person were to inadvertently or to release one of those documents, it would be considered it would be a misdemeanor. And there's a criminal aspect of their releasing of that, and that's where the utilities know that. So what this bill does simply is now allow the PUC to establish rules based on and to allow and identify which documents and how they would create a process to release documents to the public where they are not truly confidential. And that's the challenge that we've been faced with, and everyone who's tried to get documents from utilities. And some of these are related to safety, and in some cases, they have been very problematic for many. There was a story where, well, I could go into it, but I won't.
Thank you, Senator Hill. Senator Hertzberg.
So this bill is 2 words.
Is what, I'm sorry?
This bill is 2 words. Or rule. That's the bill, correct? Now, there's no requirement that the PUC does this. This just says that they have the option to make the rule. Is that correct?
Correct, and because today it's not as clear as everyone would like that they have that opportunity. We feel that they do currently. This will clarify that.
I mean, they could make an order that applied.
They could do an order.
Broadly construed, but this is the rule. And how do we know that they're going to make a rule?
Well, we don't know that they will.
We just know that, and how do we know what the rule's going to say?
We don't.
We don't know. That's for next year if they screw up. I mean, because technically you're basically expanding the definition. I mean, I think you're right. The idea of an order, it seems to me the commission makes orders all the time that applies beyond just a single case, a single rate case. But what you're doing is giving them the latitude to basically make a set of rules with the thinking that if they actually, I suspect, are listening to these hearings and following the votes, that they will in fact make a rule so you can't just stamp everything confidential.
And I think, and that's in their interest, and my conversations with the board members, the commission members, and especially the president, is he would like to see that because his hands are tied currently, and he would like the opportunity to allow those documents and that information to be released and not be considered confidential. This would allow him that opportunity and that commission.
He'll do it, but I mean, there's no mandate.
No.
You're just broadening the statutory language in such a way that gives them an excuse to do it. You know, we might already be able to do it, but certainly sending a message.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, and no further questions, Senator Hill?
Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Very good. Is there a motion? Motion by Senator Hertzberg. Please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to Senate Appropriations. Jackson?
Aye.
Jackson, aye. Morlock? Anderson? Hertzberg? Aye. Hertzberg, aye. Leno? Monning? Wachowski?
We have 2 votes. We will put the matter on call for the absent members. Thank you, Senator Hill. And your other measure, of course, is on consent.
And thank you for that and for the analysis on that one as well.
Very good. Thank you. And timed perfectly, our next author